good. When you brought that up, I didn't know I'll click on it.
There's one or the other.
Yeah.
It's this one. God damn it. Can't take this anymore.
You're at 88 views now. You're getting a lot of views.
Where is it?
Why don't you just ask him to type the Q and A's at this point? I mean, we are streaming here.
Why doesn't it show up?
You are streaming and they're hearing our voice.
Q&A. Okay, I'm gonna add it here. Q&A live. Okay. Dear all, just bear with me for a second. Bear with me. It's been a very dramatic day, not only Schubert, but also Vimeo, which completely died this morning. They have technical glitches, a nightmare. Now I just want to make sure everybody can access this Q&A, and I'm also, once I get it up on the site, just bear with me for a second. I'm going to add it here. It should show up on the site. I'm going to add it as a link. So if you refresh, I'm going to here add it to the chat box. Please visit for Q&A. Okay, so I put a YouTube link in the chat box. I think I've given up with Vimeo. I'm absolutely amazed. I uploaded the video to Vimeo. They deleted it right away. Customer support just dropped off. So we may have to just stick with YouTube. It doesn't have the same sound quality as Vimeo, but it's reliable at least. So here we go. Now I think what I'll do, let me just make sure this published. Okay. Okay, so I see a few people are on, and I'm just going to set this up to go on Facebook as well. Okay, I'm going to set up a little Facebook Live. And let's do Facebook. Okay, Facebook. Here we go. Let's do live video. I'm going to set it up right here. Okay, flip the screen. Starting live video. Okay. So what I'll do is keep this here. Okay. So any questions you have, there's a chat box on the website. So you can, if you have any questions, simply put it in the chat box on danperforms.com/stage. So just check that Facebook Live is working. Yes. Saw a few people, so it's all good. So once again, if you want to ask any questions, visit the website, danperforms.com/stage, and there's a chat box there underneath the video, the YouTube video, and if you have any questions about anything. So I just played the Schubert Impromptus. These are what my soul really needed. They're just uplifting, wonderful, sublime masterpieces, and fortunately I have a wonderful engineer, Stephen, who has been checking everything today, because all the live streaming platforms are completely unreliable. I mean, if I put a phone up like right now and just go direct to Facebook, that works, but we don't have all the quality gear working. I'll show you right here. The microphones, these are Neumann's TLM 170s. They get absolutely beautiful sound quality, and my dream, my goal was to have this microphone setup work live. But so far, I've tried DACast, YouTube, Vimeo, Twitch. They all have glitches. As soon as I want to get something of higher quality. If I just go with a cell phone like this, then everything works. So it's back to square one and looking for more customer support. But these back to Schubert, the very first impromptu had this. A true attention grabber. It's just no harmony. We don't know if it's major, minor. We have no idea what's going on. Super. And there's a fermata there. And then this march-like rhythm begins. Then we have the woodwinds come in. Second part of the theme. Woodwinds. Now the strings. Tutti orchestra. Strings. Tutti. So for anyone tuning in, this is, I just want to show something. With the Fazioli, interesting feature. Let me see if I can actually flip this like this. There we go. So when I have these kind of tender moments, the Fazioli has 4 pedals. So you have the left pedal, the very left pedal. Make sure I got that on the camera. Oh, hard to see. Okay. So the very first pedal does something that the upright pianos do. It brings the hammers closer to the string. So that's the kind of soft pedal action on a upright piano. You can see the hammers coming closer. So that gives one, helps us play softer. But then the one right next to it is a typical una corda of a grand. So Fazioli has angled the pedals to actually play at the same time. So I can get a third color effect by getting, moving the hammers closer and the whole keyboard slightly more to the right so that it hits less strings. So I have 3 options, and that gives a world of opportunity. So I'm going to play with that. Every time Schubert writes pianissimo, I can play with one of the pedals and get that kind of quality I want. So there we go. So I'm going to try the tender section one more time. Pianissimo. Mezzo forte. Now I can try una corda. Try both pedals for this. It has to go really soft. Very dark. See how the forte with both pedals becomes much more subdued. Try it again. Forte with both pedals. we hear the march theme once again in G minor, so typical Schubert wandering from one key, from one platform to another. And now we have a very interesting texture because it's almost like two violins. Two violins playing in unison. Or one violin does the melody, another one colors the melody. And then there's a pizzicato cello. Back to the texture. Here it almost becomes like the brass section, the trombones against possible trumpets. Both pedals. Just heaven. And C major wins. Afterthoughts. Always ends in C major now. Afterthought. Let's see if this is all working. Few people. Oh, nice. Nice. Great. A few waves out there. I'm also going to check the website, see what's going on. If there are any questions. Tell us about your name change. Okay. basically my last concert tour back in February. This was actually a West Coast tour in La Jolla, California, San Diego, Los Angeles, and then I went up to Squamish with my Piano 6 project. And I stumbled across some naturalization records back from the 19th century. There were apparently 3 Wnuchowskis, my last name, 3 people who immigrated from Poland with that last name, and it was changed by the officer at the actual customs, or most likely they were going through Staten Island. So the officer changed their W to a V. They must have asked them, "How do you pronounce your name?" "Oh, we'll just change that to a V," as you did in the 19th century. Things were, for an Anglo-Saxon speaking community, names were often made easier to pronounce. So I stumbled across a website that showed these 19th century records, and I thought, well, I'll try that. And for the first time, right before a concert, someone, the MC, simply said, showed me what to do, how to go on stage. And she announced me on stage, and at no point in the process did she say how to pronounce your name. She simply went on stage and said Wnuchowski. And all I did was gave her the V version. And that's the first time in my 38 years of existence on the planet that somebody had not asked me, how do you pronounce your name? So I'll stick with it. I tried it a few more times in a few other concerts, and for the first time, nobody asks, how do you pronounce the name? So that's the story in a nutshell. So I decided to stick with it because I'm doing more and more concerts in North America. So that question, how do you pronounce, has now disappeared. I think it's the W and the N really freaked people out because you don't know if it's silent or what to do with it. Whereas if you have VN, you know Vnu. It's no more questions asked. So I'm going way too long. Thank you so much. Delighted to have this opportunity to listen, to be engaged, and to learn. How wonderful, thank you. Don't see the view from the phone. Try to go to Facebook now if you're having trouble with YouTube. I think what's happening is since the virus happened, there are too many people live streaming on the professional platforms like Dacast, the paid platforms like Vimeo. There are simply too many people using them at once. And when I tried this perfect, full HD setting, it worked amazing yesterday. Everything was fine. I was so happy. Actually got a good night's sleep. And then this morning, it's just technical glitch nightmare. Nothing works on Vimeo. Even I uploaded a video and it immediately said video has been deleted. So I switched to YouTube right away. So happy that Stephen recorded everything because without that there would be no record of today's performance. I'm just going to move on. Oh, there's another one. Have you ever played in a treehouse before? Well, that actually, the question right before that is, what are your next projects? So I guess if we put the two and two together, I guess I'll have to play in a treehouse coming up next. So let's treehouse next time. Moving on to number 2. This impromptu is just delightful. I think every intermediate student has gone through it, played it. It can be a little bit of a tongue twister at times because it begins with a simple E-flat major scale. And then there are these chromatic embellishments marked with these hairpins, so louder, softer. That adds a nice little twist to the otherwise free-flowing, rippling triplets. And in the left hand, there's a very elegant kind of Austrian smiling, Austrian charming dance, very similar to the Landler in many ways, the precursor to the waltz. So put together, do it again. Turns from major to minor. And there's this constant kind of little Dr. Jekyll and Hyde happening in this one, where it constantly wants to break out of that sunshine, tries in numerous ways, eventually wins, but then the real doctor, with just a short phrase, a short thrust, the demon kind of comes out at that moment, and we have a completely different contrasting section. This is a kind of ABA CDC format. Yeah, big drive at the end, and there are also these crescendos, kind of like brass instruments do a crescendo into the third beat. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. See if there are any more questions. See, applause and great laughter. That's nice. Good. So I think we'll wrap it up here and work on a strategy for next week, next Saturday, same time. Kind of try to find a platform that's going to work, and I'll see you there. Have another nice program for you. Thanks, everyone.